In the next few years, millions of jobs disappear. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly. And the scary part is not that AI is coming, it is that most people are preparing for the wrong future.
In the face of the future we face. So give me the 30,000 feet view.
Well, my background for the last 25 years has been building companies from scratch. And I've been through the dot-com, and I've been through global financial crisis, and I've been through Brexit and COVID. I have never experienced what we're experiencing right now. I've never seen more excitement for the opportunities that are in front of us, and I've never seen more fear for the disruption that is coming. We are living through transformational times that is very similar to 250 years ago, where
This is not hype. This is someone who has seen multiple economic crises, saying this one feels different, because it is. This conversation breaks down what AI is actually doing. Not just to jobs, but to opportunity itself. Who wins? Who gets left behind? And the one skill that keeps you in the game. This is Synthesize, where we turn long podcast conversations into their most important ideas. Most people think AI is the threat. It is not. It is half the threat.
50 years ago, where the end of the agricultural age ended and the beginning of the industrial age began.
I would argue that it's more significant because there's two forces that kind of keep me up at night. The first force is AI, which is, you can think of it as just the replacement of the human brain from a sort of productivity standpoint. And then the other is robotics. And the problem is they're coming in at the same time. And I was watching, I don't know if you saw this the other day.
I did, yeah.
So I'll put this on the screen for anyone.
This is the first time in history. Your brain and your body are both replaceable at the same time. Pause for a second and think about that. Every generation thinks this time we are done, and every time they are wrong.
Space. It begs the question, like, where do we
fit in to all of that? Strangely, there's something called the Jevons paradox. And the Jevons paradox is a paradox where when we think something is going to completely disrupt the way that we live and work, it often has the opposite effect. We thought that YouTube was going to completely wipe out television. And it's true that Hollywood lost tens of thousands of jobs, but YouTubing created 500 to 600,000 jobs at the same time. And it used to take 150 people to make a TV show or a movie, and now it's 5 to 10 people.
When something becomes cheaper, we do not use it less. We use it everywhere, which means AI will not shrink the economy. It is going to explode it. This is where everything flips.
If we currently said that in order to have a successful software company right now today or in the last few years, you needed to have 10,000 customers and you needed to have a team of 50 people and you needed to raise $1 to $5 million to get a software company off the ground. If all of a sudden the cost and the commitment drops dramatically to have a software company and you only need 500 customers to make it work, and you only need 2 people on a team to make it work, and you only need a tiny bit of funding to make it work, what happens is, like YouTube channels, you can end up with literally millions of tiny little software businesses that are super successful for 5 to 10 people, and they do something niche and they do something special. They don't look like traditional software companies either.
This is the real shift. You do not need a company anymore. You can be one person, one niche. Global reach. AI does not just replace jobs, it replaces the need to have one. Previous revolutions took decades. This one.
With the Industrial Revolution, there's a little bit of a delay because infrastructure took time to build.
It takes a long time to build.
But this is the first innovation that I've lived through that is built on...
It's instantaneous.
The internet.
The minute an AI learns how to be a lawyer in one place, it can be a lawyer in every place. The minute it learns how to diagnose a disease in one location, in one hospital, it can diagnose a disease in every hospital in the world. So it's this instantaneous rollout because it sits on top of a network that already exists.
This is what actually Boston Dynamics said to me. I was watching a video of their new robot that's working in factories.
AI does not scale like technology. It spreads like a virus. The moment it learns something, everyone gets it. Here is the part nobody talks about.
$1,000. You can rent them, lease them. You can buy a bunch as investment assets and set them out.
Set up your own fleet and connect them to different networks like Uber and all of those sorts of things. And the cost to move around is going to go through the floor because, my Uber to come here today was probably $50. And that will probably be $6 or $7 once that is rolled out. So The thing that with the Jevons paradox is it doesn't mean that everyone gets the same job and that they get there's just more of exactly the same jobs. It means that the transformation creates an exponential growth.
When prices collapse, margins disappear. And when margins disappear, jobs follow. The real battle is not jobs, it is attention.
Of AI agents, the amount of people that are now choosing to do content as a living is exploding.
Yes.
So you have a supply and demand issue where there's a set amount, really like a set amount of hours, sort of consumption hours, and then you have this huge exponential explosion in available content because a kid in Mumbai
the attention is a limited resource.
But content is
content is unlimited.
Now.
Yeah, and more so. So AI slop is just rolling in and
This is the new economy, infinite supply, limited demand, which means most people will not fail because they are bad. They will fail because they are invisible. Imagine trying to take off.
About it a little bit like an airport, that the airport has got this fog that is rolling in. If your airplane is already above the fog, then you can continue to fly. But if your airplane is not taking off already, then the fog is going to keep you on the ground. So, like, for example, you've invested so much into your personal brand and people will come along to see you live and they would love to go to a dinner party series that, involves you, and there's a whole community around DOAC, right? So all of those things means that your airplane's already up in the air. You can continue to fly. But if you are starting 2 years from now or a year from now,
If you do not build momentum now, you will not later. Because AI is filling the sky, fast. You start from zero every day.
and Stephen has 500 followers, I would just care about who posts the best thing.
Yeah.
So we did that analysis, and it's an almost perfect graph that looks like this. And this is the variance increasing,
Yep.
which actually means that, okay, Stephen's taken off from the sky, but every day I wake up increasingly, it doesn't matter what I did yesterday.
What we've seen is the end of social media and the birth of algorithmic media.
Interest algorithms, we call them.
Yeah. So social media was all about connecting with your friends and finding out what your friends are doing.
Your followers do not protect you anymore. Every post, every idea competes globally, every single day. What humans still own.
End of that process, the farmer had to know this is the day to harvest, and then we need to harvest that and we need to turn it into something and take it to market. And AI is very similar, which is that it's very good at doing the middle to the middle. It's not good at knowing what to do in the very first instance or knowing when to stop and how to take it to market. So the entrepreneur's job is to do step 1 and 2, let AI do steps 3 to 8, and then do steps 9 and 10, and to basically
AI executes. You decide what matters, what to build, and when it is done. That is the leverage. There is a darker possibility.
Team of agents
if nothing disrupts it, one thing that is very likely to happen in the next 3 years is the whole thing comes crashing down. It doesn't financially make any sense to build the data centers that we're building.
But you're not saying that AI is going to disappear.
The technology itself is remarkable, but the financial model just makes no sense whatsoever at the moment.
At the moment, which is
Right.
kind of typical of bubbles, right?
So over the last 180 years, there have been infrastructure build-outs that are in a Walmart-sized building somewhere, but those GPUs, those computer stacks, those big ginormous computers, they are like iPhones. They last about 3 years before they get superseded. This year ahead, we're going to spend $650 billion. 650 billion sounds like so abstract. It's the equivalent of giving every single person in America an iPhone Pro with AirPods. But here's the crazy thing. 95% of people who are being given the free iPhone are not willing to pay for it. And the tiny number of people who are willing to pay for it, they're only willing to pay $20 a month, most of them. So this $20 a month, everyone's getting a free iPhone effectively, and then a small 5% of people are willing to pay $20 a month. The numbers are just astronomically out of balance.
The numbers are astronomical.
AI might not break society because it fails, but because it is too expensive to sustain. And if that happens, the fallout hits everyone. The only skill that matters now.
What should I be learning now to make sure that the next 20, 30, 40 years of my career is prosperous?
It's the entrepreneurial skill set that is the most important skill set. It is essentially the skills of identifying an opportunity, prototyping fast and cheap experiments to see if you've got something that people want, taking it to market, making your initial sales, scaling up to your addressable market, and then exiting and then coming up with a new idea. Because even if you're in a big corporate, they're going to want to prototype things, they're going to want to spin out new products, they're going to want to come up with new initiatives, and we need to step through that process of, is this a good idea or not? Can we validate?
This is it, not a job, not a degree, a process. Find, test, adapt, repeat. How winners actually think.
So that I knew that 750 people were interested in this idea. This was my favorite idea. And then the second idea, I invited people to join that waiting list. And 4,500 people joined that waiting list. So even though this wasn't my favorite idea, it was way more exciting for people, and it was sitting on top of a much bigger need. So off the back of collecting 4,500 people on the waiting list and collecting all the data and the information, we went to some angel investors about a week later after doing that, and we raised £250,000, so about $300,000 or $400,000. And all of that took about a week or two.
With that example, how do you know that the business is...
The difference? Winners do not guess, they test reality, fast. The biggest leverage shift.
Needed 10,000 customers to have a break-even software company. Now, because of AI, all of those costs have massively come down, and there are software companies that are wildly profitable that have 500 customers or 1,000 customers. They service a tiny little niche. They attach a community and some media and some training to those little software niches. So one of the most exciting things is that if you essentially said that I would like to take what I know, turn it into a playbook, take that playbook, ask AI to advise me on what software we could create, and then use AI tools to build out that software, you're able to get very deep into that journey for almost no money.
Your knowledge can now become software, without a team, without funding, without permission. The one thing AI cannot touch.
Could not do. And especially in the context of what humans will continue to need. When you were born, Dan, you were born with a bunch of needs. And those needs fundamentally haven't changed. One of them is connection. I think you'll always be able to discern what is real human connection from artificial connection. I remember being 16 years old in my psychology class at the back when they told me about the rhesus monkeys experiment, where they got a rhesus monkey, this small little monkey. They pretended that its mother was a wire mesh. So they made a wire mesh mother. The rhesus monkey grows up to be a psychopath. Irreplaceably human content. There's no AI an AI can tell you what happens in menopause. An AI can't tell you its experience of menopause.
Yes, we need to find something that only we can say as humans. And every single person has this, by the way. But a lot of us overlook what we can say as a human. I recently came across a financial planner, and his name is Matt Pitcher. And he gave a TED Talk. And the TED Talk is about what it was like for him to meet 100 people who had won the lottery. So he had a partnership as a financial planner with the British.
AI can simulate answers, but it cannot simulate being human. Your story becomes your advantage. This changes everything.
And a few weeks before that, there was a billionaire CEO who only got a few 100,000 views. And you said, Daniel, relatable beats impressive.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that they have to cure cancer or launch a rocket to Mars, or that they have to win a Nobel Peace Prize or float a company on the NASDAQ. And actually, each individual person, we have to discover what I would call your personal intellectual property or your personal intellectual capital. And your personal story, your personal playbooks, your...
You do not need to be extraordinary. You need to be real. That is what cuts through. Who loses first?
And it was going to cost us £50,000, so $60,000, as a start the process with a law firm. We took matters into our own hands and we used Claude, and we actually fixed the process and resolved the process by spending $20 a month. And Claude gave us a coaching session on how to handle it, gave us multiple decision tree pathways, gave us the documents that we would need, gave us an Excel spreadsheet of do say this, don't say this in the negotiation. And it made me realize, my goodness, what a lawyer's going to do, because if all they do, people who turn up to your house and fix your house in a devalued role, and it could be in the next, couple of years, these are the roles that are elevated the most, and that plumbers regularly earn more than lawyers, simply because the nature of the economy has changed. One thing I've learned over the last 25 years is the pendulum swings. very few things stay the same. There is always this swinging pendulum, and the swinging pendulum is like, oh yeah, white collar work behind a screen is the high value thing. Oh no, it's actually blue collar work with your hands. You talked about supply and demand. The government.
I was looking at the top 10 jobs according to AI that are most likely to be disrupted. And it said things like drivers, with McKinsey estimating 30% of them will be automated by 2030, customer service, representative and call center reps, which I used to be.
Same.
50% headcount reductions after AI rollout, according to some estimates. Some go up to about 80%. I actually saw a tool on my timeline yesterday that is real human voice, indistinguishable from humans, that's just launched and is causing a huge stir. So that they're thinking that will replace even more of the customer service roles. I did speak to.
If your work is repetitive, predictable, or structured, AI is already replacing it. The upside.
Repetitive work will go away, but actually, if there are AI bots that are really good at setting appointments for a VIP human person to have a conversation, then that work will go through the roof. Because one of the reasons that people, like right now, most companies wish they could have more VIP conversations, but the appointment setting, they don't have a lot of the low-level appointment setting stuff happening. And if the appointment setting stuff, if the cost of that goes to zero, then the affordability of the VIP level treatment becomes much more feasible.
Retail cashiers, admin assistants, bookkeepers, and payroll clerks, sales, development reps.
This could be the best future yet. Less meaningless work, more human work, if we adapt. Final truth.
This is the trap that many people have fallen into, and it's actually at the root cause of socialism. So the root of socialism is that I know better than everybody else, and I will come up with a way of running society so everyone gets looked after. That's the top-down mindset. The crazy mindset that actually works is if we give people education and training and we make opportunity transparent, and we actually let people know what's actually happening in the market, and we give them price signal data, they will self-organize and reorganize, and they will have a bottom-up revolution, and they'll find amazing, interesting things to do. The money is in the economy.
You
right?
think that's true?
That's called capital. Productivity gains is a downward spiral.
What's your bear case for the future of AI?
Well, the bear case is that we have something called the Engels pause. The Engels pause is what happened in the industrial age, where for 50 years, all the wealth went to the top because of the new technology of the industrialization. When we went from agriculture to industrial age, that new technology displaced so many people that there were revolutions off the back of it.
I mean, this is going to be even faster and more disruptive.
Yeah, it's very, very disruptive, yeah.
I said.
And what I've discovered is that they have widespread, massive impacts on all sorts of areas of society that you wouldn't even expect. And my real bear case for AI is that we overinvest in these data centers, we cause a massive financial collapse, and that we wipe out pension funds. I don't know if you know this, but they're packaging up the debt for these financial assets, and they're selling that to pension funds as private credit. So all of these huge data centers, what they're doing is paying 6% above inflation as a packaged up debt. They send it over. Now, when they go to the pension funds, they say, oh, this is backed by Google and backed by Microsoft and backed by Amazon. And then they say, oh, you know, it's a 6% financial instrument backed by these huge companies. But unfortunately, the mathematics of spending $600 billion a year on something that only has a 3 or 4 year lifespan.
No one is coming to save you, but you do not need saving. Humans adapt, they always have. So here is the reality. AI will not destroy opportunity. It will redistribute it. And the people who win will not be the smartest. They will be the fastest to adapt. So the real question is, are you still thinking like an employee or starting to think like a builder? If this kind of breakdown helps you think differently, you will probably enjoy the next video too.